Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Balasya neha sharanam Pitaro Nrsimha Nartasya chagadam Udanvati majato now Taptasya tat pravidirya ihanajaseshtas Twadvi botanubratam tadupekshitanam Balasya neha sharanam pitaro Nrsimha Nartasya chagadamudan vatimajjato now Taptasya tat pratividirya ihanjaseshtas Twadvi botanubritam twad upekshitanam. Balasya, of a little child. Na, not. Iha, in this world. Sharanam, shelter, protection. Pitaro, the father and mother. Nrsimha, O my Lord Nrsimhadeva. Na, neither. Artasya, of a person suffering from some disease. Cha, also. Agadam, medicine. Udanvati, in the water of the ocean. Majjata, of a person who is drowning. Now, the boat. Taptasya, of a person suffering from a condition of material misery. Tat pratividi, the counteraction invented for stopping the suffering of material existence. Ya, that which, iha, in this material world, anjasa, very easily, ishta, accepted as a remedy, tavat, similarly, vibho, O my Lord, O Supreme, tanubratam, of the living entities who have accepted material bodies, tvat upekshitanam, who are neglected by you and not accepted by you. Translation. My Lord Nrsimhadeva, O Supreme, because of a bodily conception of life, embodied souls neglected and not cared for by you cannot do anything for their betterment. Whatever remedies they accept, although perhaps temporarily beneficial, are certainly impermanent. For example, a father and mother cannot protect their child. A physician and medicine cannot relieve a suffering patient. And a boat on the ocean cannot protect a drowning man. Before I read the purport, I would like to relate a very small incident that illustrated how Srila Prabhupada saw pretty much everything in relation to the Shastra, and would recall verses in the Shastra that pertained to the incident. It was a very simple event. I was sitting in his room in Juhu, Bombay, and in the distance he heard the sounds of a child crying. And he quoted this verse, that even the parents cannot protect their children unless the child is protected by the Supreme Lord. So we all need shelter, we all need protection, and especially at this time of the coronavirus pandemic. Although we're always vulnerable, but perhaps now people are more aware of how vulnerable they are. So we need shelter and we need protection. And not every shelter and not every protection is effective. But the protection of Lord Nrsimhadeva is guaranteed. So now I'll read the purport. Through parental care, through remedies for different kinds of disease, and through means of protection on the water, in the air, and on land, there is always an endeavor for relief from various kinds of suffering in the material world. That's for sure. But none of them are guaranteed measures for protection. They may be beneficial temporarily, but they afford no permanent benefit. Despite the presence of a father and mother, a child cannot be protected from accidental death, disease, and various other miseries. No one can help, including the parents. So many of you are parents, and of course you always want the best for your children. You want to protect them from material onslaughts and various miseries. But as you know, as we all know, we are limited. We are Anu, very small, and the Lord is Vibhu, very great. And so we really have to depend on Him. There is a saying, Krishna mare raki ke, Krishna raki mare ke. That if Krishna wants to protect someone, who can kill him? And if Krishna wants to kill someone, who can protect him? So we depend fully on Krishna. Recently we celebrated Ram Navami, and just yesterday was Sita Navami. And so we were thinking of the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. And when he went to South India, on the way to Lanka, he stopped in Rameshwaram and prayed to Lord Shiva. Now this action of Lord Ramachandra raises some questions and has given rise to some misunderstandings. Shaivites take it to indicate that Lord Shiva is supreme. But of course we know from Shastra that, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But sometimes the Lord likes to worship his devotee or serve his devotee. There was this little exchange with Srila Prabhupada in his room in Calcutta. We had a landlord. By the way, we still have that property, 3 Albert Road in Calcutta. So at the time we were renting from a landlord named Mr. Singh Roy, a Bengali gentleman. And he had his own ideas, you could say. And he had a discussion with Srila Prabhupada's disciple, Achyutananda Swami. And Achyutananda Swami approached Srila Prabhupada with Mr. Singh Roy's theories. And basically what Mr. Singh Roy had said was that Lord Chaitanya is the origin of Radha and Krishna, and that he is greater than Radha and Krishna. Just like Rasagula is greater than milk and sugar. It's made of milk and sugar, but it's greater than milk and sugar separately. So, Achyutananda Prabhu asked Srila Prabhupada, I happened to be in the room, and Srila Prabhupada said that Radha and Krishna come first, and they combine to become Lord Chaitanya. Just like milk and sugar exist first, it's the same example. The milk and sugar exist first, and they combine to make a rasagula. And then Achyutananda Prabhu asked, who is greater? And Srila Prabhupada paused, and then he said, Radharani is the greatest. And he pointed to a picture on his wall, a Bengali print, that showed Srimati Radharani on an elevated platform, and Krishna sort of kneeling at her feet, asking her to give up her transcendental anger, man. Then he pointed to another picture which showed Krishna carrying the shoes of Nanda Maharaj on his head. And he said, Nanda Maharaj is the greatest, because Krishna is carrying his shoes on his head. And so his conclusion was that the devotee is the greatest, because Krishna comes under the control of the love of the devotee. And of course that was demonstrated very vividly in the Damodar Lila, when baby Krishna was bound by ropes by Mother Yashoda. Now, initially, she was unable to bind him with the ropes, which was very surprising to her, because every morning she would tie his belt around his waist, and she never had any difficulty. But suddenly, she couldn't tie the ropes around his waist, and she got more ropes, and there was always 2 fingers too short, 2 inches too short, 2 fingers too short. And she kept adding more and more lengths of rope, and it was always the same, 2 fingers too short. But in the end, Krishna did allow himself to be bound by her. And Srimad Bhagavatam mentions 2 words, parishram, which means hard labor, referring to Mother Yashoda's intense endeavor, and the other is Krishna Kripa, referring to Krishna's mercy. And our acharyas, Srila Jiva Goswami, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and others explain that distance of 2 fingers was overcome. One finger was overcome by parishram, by Mother Yashoda's hard labor, and the other finger, the distance of a finger, was overcome by Krishna Kripa, Krishna's mercy. So in all of our spiritual endeavors, pretty much all of our success depends on a combination of these 2 elements. Our endeavor, sincere endeavor, hard work, and Krishna's mercy. So, I won't return to that story of Lord Ramachandra, but yeah, basically that was it. That he was not that Lord Shiva was the supreme, but the Lord was taking pleasure in worshipping his devotee. So now back to the purport. Despite the presence of a father and mother, a child cannot be protected from accidental death, disease, and various other miseries. No one can help, including the parents. Ultimately, the shelter is the Lord, and one who takes shelter of the Lord is protected. This is guaranteed. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:31, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Sometimes people ask, well, why did Krishna ask Arjuna to declare it? Why didn't he declare it himself? And the answer is that Krishna is so affectionate to his devotees that sometimes, for the sake of his devotee, he will break his own promise. But he will always uphold his devotee's word. And there are examples of that, but for the sake of time, we'll continue. So, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Therefore, unless one is protected by the mercy of the Lord, no remedial measure can act effectively. One should consequently depend fully on the causeless mercy of the Lord. Although as a matter of routine duty, one must, of course, accept other remedial measures. No one can protect one who is neglected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, we do take medicine. I mean, when I was growing up, I heard that there was a group called Christian Scientists who wouldn't take medicine because they wanted to depend fully on the Lord. But here, Srila Prabhupada says, as a matter of routine duty, one must, of course, accept other remedial measures. So we do take medicine. Srila Prabhupada took medicine. But the medicine will be effective only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And I've heard that in Ayurveda, the doctors and even the patients are supposed to, invoke the Lord's mercy in the course of healing. But then again, we don't really pray to the Lord. I mean, in pure devotion, we don't pray to the Lord to help us materially. But, we do want to, we want our service to be protected. And we can pray for that. In this material world, everyone is trying to counteract the onslaught of material nature. But everyone is ultimately fully controlled by material nature. Therefore, even though so-called philosophers and scientists try to surmount the onslaught of material nature, they have not been able to do so. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 13:9 that the real sufferings of the material world are four: Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, birth, death, old age, and disease. In the history of the world, no one has been successful in conquering these miseries imposed by material nature. So, we know that people have been trying to stop birth, by contraceptive, even abortion, so many horrible things. But overall, birth is not stopped. Birth keeps increasing, the population keeps increasing. So we can't stop birth by material methods. Death, nobody wants to die, but death is certain, as sure as death. So no one has discovered any material means to stop death. And old age, nobody wants to grow old. I mean, when you're really young, when you're 12, you might want to be 16. But when you actually start getting old, and Srila Prabhupada said, old age begins with 40. And I remember I met His Grace Ravindra Sarup Prabhu at a Rath Yatra, and he said, I don't know, maybe he was 70, but he said, from now on it's all downhill. So nobody really wants old age. So many inconveniences come with old age. But we can't stop it materially. And same with disease. Although we may find a cure for one disease, another disease will come for which we have no cure. If we were actually stopping disease, all the hospitals should close, the doctors and nurses should go home, they should have no work. But to the contrary, there's always a demand for more hospital beds, more doctors, more nurses. So these miseries are enforced upon us. We have not been able to counteract them, and they will continue to afflict us as long as we are in the material world. And so the real solution is to get out. As Srila Prabhupada said, this material world is like a stool house, so we should just do our business and get out. And our business, of course, is to become Krishna conscious. That's our only business. But we don't want to hang around in the stool house. We want to finish our business and get out. In the history of the world, no one has been successful in conquering these miseries imposed by material nature. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha. Nature, Prakriti, is so strong that no one can overcome her stringent laws unless we surrender to Krishna. Deviye shagunamayi mama maya durateya mame viye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. That this material nature, consisting of the three modes, is very difficult to overcome, but one who surrenders to Krishna can easily surpass it. So-called scientists, philosophers, religionists, and politicians should therefore conclude that they cannot offer facilities to the people in general. I mean, that's the plain truth. That's the fact. And I think, within their hearts they know it's true. They can't. Therefore, they should make vigorous propaganda to awaken the populace and raise them to the platform of Krishna consciousness. Our humble attempt to propagate the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world is the only remedy that can bring about a peaceful and happy life. Why? Because we can never be happy without the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Tvad upekshitanam. If we keep displeasing our Supreme Father, we shall never be happy within this material world, in either the upper or lower planetary systems. So this should be our priority, to please the Supreme Father. And when He's pleased, then automatically we will be pleased. At this point, I would like to sing a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam that we used to sing every morning in the old Boston Temple. Old Boston Temple means when I was there in 1969. It's a very beautiful verse, both in terms of the Sanskrit and in terms of the meaning. It is 10:14:58, I believe. I'll just double check. Yes, 10:14:58. Samasrita ye pada palava plavam Mahatpadam punya yasho murare Bhavam buddhir vatsa padam param padam 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 yadhi padam natesham Samashrita ye pada palava plavam Matpadam punya yasho murare Bhavam buddhir vatsa padam param padam 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 yadhi padam natesham. So the general meaning is that for those who have taken shelter of the boat, because we've been reading how a boat cannot protect a drowning man, but this is a different kind of boat. For those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, Mahat Padam, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation. Mahat means the cosmic manifestation, and he's also the shelter of the great souls who have taken refuge of him, because Mahat also means great souls. The ocean of the material world shrinks and becomes just like a puddle contained in a hoof print of a calf. Although there's danger at every step, the devotee crosses right over it. Now sometimes during these days, devotees have raised the question of Krishna's protection. And we're reading how the Lord's protection is guaranteed. Because, of course, that's the point. Everyone has to die. Even devotees have to die. But during this coronavirus pandemic, some devotees have died from COVID-19. And so other devotees raised the question, well, I thought the Lord was supposed to protect them. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashati. My devotee will never perish. But still, we all have to die. So my devotee will never perish means that he will not perish independent of the Lord's will or protection. It doesn't necessarily mean material protection. It can't mean material protection. Because if surrender to Krishna guaranteed that you would be protected materially, then all sorts of materialistic people would surrender to Krishna to get material protection. And that's not what Krishna wants. Krishna wants pure devotion, anyabhilasita sunyam. So his protection means, like he says in the Bhagavad Gita, he preserves what the devotee has and carries what the devotee lacks. And that may apply materially, but especially it applies spiritually. That he will preserve their Krishna consciousness and help them to increase their Krishna consciousness. And that is really our goal, and that's really our future. We should practice, for the time of death, to always remember Krishna and never forget him. And our main practice, our main process, is the chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But that chanting should be done, carefully and attentively and from the heart. Otherwise, Srila Prabhupada gives the example that a parrot can also chant. But when death comes, when a cat, attacks the parrot, then as Srila Prabhupada says, there's no more Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's just ka, 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 ka. So when the time of death comes, we don't want to be like a parrot, that we forget Hare Krishna and just ka, 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 ka. But we want to really remember Krishna at the final moment. And so, as it said, all of our sadhana and bhajana are meant to prepare us for the final test, which is the time of death. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. I have been asked to leave some time for questions or comments from our learned assembly of devotees. So I'm ready for questions and comments.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. It was a very encouraging and enlightening talk, giving us lots of hope, because in spite of us knowing theoretically a lot of the philosophy that Krishna is there and he's on our side and he looks out for the devotees, sometimes we may experience certain things which may seem like Krishna didn't protect me in that situation or didn't protect me in this situation, because we have some preconceived notion of what it actually means to be protected. So if you can comment on a more universal definition or if you can just if you can help us understand the more universally that Krishna protects this particular thing of ours in our heart, or what is it that he's protecting? Kind of touched upon it, but sometimes we doubt our own selves, we doubt Krishna.
Yeah. Well, Krishna, our main asset, if you will, is our Krishna consciousness, and Krishna protects our Krishna consciousness. But sometimes, to further our Krishna consciousness, he may take away something materially. And there's a famous verse that Srila Prabhupada quoted, Yasyaham anugrinami harishye tadanam shanai. Krishna says, when I especially favor a devotee, the first installment of my mercy is to take everything away from him. So, and Srila Prabhupada related that to his own situation. I mean, he was very successful in his material life, but then at a certain stage, things suddenly started to go wrong. And he was losing and losing and losing. He faced so many setbacks. And then he thought of this verse, that maybe this is happening to me. And later he commented that first Krishna tested me by taking everything away from me, and then Krishna tested me by giving me everything. Because they're both tests. The test is, are we going to forget Krishna or remember him? So when Krishna takes something away from us, are we going to forget Krishna and chase after that thing that he took away, or are we going to remember Krishna? And if he gives us everything, are we going to try to relish what he's given us, or are we going to use it exclusively to serve Krishna? So, yeah. In Delhi, Srila Prabhupada had a boy who was translating his books from English into Hindi. And the boy's father came to meet Srila Prabhupada. The boy's father was pious, but he did have I guess you could say, an addiction to smoking cigarettes. So one time when he came to meet Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada asked him, have you given up smoking? And he said, no, I haven't. Can't I get some special mercy? And then Srila Prabhupada said, special mercy? Yes, there is such a thing as special mercy. And he quoted this verse. If it's a special mercy, Krishna takes everything away. So Srila Prabhupada said, so do you want special mercy? And the man said, no, I'll do it myself. I'll give up the smoking myself. So is that all right? Any other questions or comments?
Yes, thank you, Maharaj. We have a couple of questions. Vijay Krishna Prabhu from Portugal. Go ahead, Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Maharaj, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Maharaj, before I ask my question, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
And I think it's important for you to know that this question is being made from Portugal, where you were for a period of time, GBC for Portugal. You remember?
I do.
Yes, and finally we are establishing Lord Chaitanya's movement in the Azores archipelago, the 9 Portuguese islands.
Oh, nice. Wonderful. Good.
Yes, the preaching is developing here.
Good.
So my question is, your class was also about protection given by Lord Krishna, and it came to my mind that when the parents, they have progeny, they have their children, the moral duty of the parents is to give ultimate protection to the children. And this ultimate protection means to save them from repeated birth and death in the material world. So my question is, I find it difficult for the parents to give this ultimate protection because there's always the issue of free will. And people often say that parents shouldn't impose their own religion to the children. Any comment about this item, please?
Yes, that's a very important point you made. Well, we're not imposing a religion on the children, but Krishna consciousness is the original consciousness of the living entities. It's the natural position of the living entity, Jive Swarabhai Krishna Nityadas. But the verse you quoted is very important, Guru na sasyat, Pita na sasyat, that no one should become a father, a mother, a husband, a guru, or a superior relative, unless he or she can deliver his or her dependence from the repetition of birth and death. And in his purport, Srila Prabhupada says that no one can deliver his or her dependence from the cycle of birth and death unless they become pure devotees. And so this is a great responsibility if someone becomes a parent, to make sure that their children don't have to take birth again. And they can do their best by themselves setting, the proper example and giving appropriate instructions, and of course creating a very loving and supportive atmosphere at home. But then it's true, at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said to Arjuna, now you've heard whatever I've said, Yatechasi Tatakaru, now you do whatever you like. Because God does not interfere with the minute independence of the living entity. The parents can't, interfere with the minute independence, but they can do their best.
Yes, Maharaj, thank you very much for your answer. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. It's an important topic. I'd like to request the Shamkun Prabhu. Here's a question or a comment. Shamkun Prabhu, please go ahead.
Thank you. Madhuraba, can you unmute my video, please?
Okay.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Kandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
This is Shamkun Das from ISKCON Towaco.
Jai.
Maharaj, the question I have is, you said that Krishna, when he says that he's going to protect his devotees, it doesn't necessarily mean the material protection. But at the same time, I think at least those who have totally dedicated their lives for Krishna consciousness, in the bhakti process, sometimes they seems to be going through more material problems than the ordinary people. And one example I can think of is you personally and also with Srila Prabhupada, as far as Juhu project is concerned. I mean, you have to go through so much trouble. I mean, most probably Krishna had helped you a little bit more. You could have utilized that energy and time in spreading Krishna consciousness than fighting all these legal battles. So, can you maybe explain how all these things works?
Well, I'm reminded of an exchange between His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami And Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami said to Srila Prabhupada that I have just one department, the Bhaktivedanta Institute, and I have so many problems. And you have to manage the whole worldwide movement. I can't even imagine how many problems you have to deal with. And Srila Prabhupada replied, problems? I don't see any problems. I see only service to my Guru Maharaj. So whatever we faced in Juhu, or whatever any of us face in service to our spiritual master, is just a variety of service. I mean, it's true that it can be challenging. Like once during all this struggle in Juhu, Tamal Krishna Goswami said to Srila Prabhupada, I'm so preoccupied with all these problems, I can't even sleep at night. And Srila Prabhupada replied, I know how you feel. I feel the same way. So that's also part of our love for Krishna, that we accept anxiety for Krishna's movement. Srila Prabhupada had one disciple. He used to be named Sai. He had his own following in Hawaii. And then he surrendered to Srila Prabhupada. But he always had a sort of mellow mood. He liked the mellow mood. So once he said to Srila Prabhupada, one thing I don't like about your disciples is they're always in so much anxiety. And Srila Prabhupada replied, that is their love for Krishna. Srimati Radharani is always in anxiety for Krishna. So there's that. But then the other side is also there, that we need to maintain a healthy balance. Because when Tamal Krishna Goswami said in Bombay that I think I know the Bombay municipal codes better than I know the verses of the Bhagavad Gita. And Srila Prabhupada said, that is not good. So, yeah, it's a matter of balance. Balance is very important in spiritual life, very important. Thank you.